What a performance by the Gators this past Saturday against Tennessee. Very proud that we were able to defend home field. And I'm thrilled that the fans were able to have such an impact on the Tennessee team. You could clearly see that it rattled them. They had many procedural penalties and just couldn't get going. Also, ecstatic that we are extending Tennessee's losing streak in the swamp by a couple more years. So, as you can see, I'm filled with joy, very happy with this performance. But I wanted to take some time to kind of ease the emotions and really look back on this game and see what I liked and didn't like. So, without further ado, I'm the college football enthusiast on SG1 Sports Florida, and today I'll be doing my 5 takeaways on last week's matchup versus Tennessee. So, starting with the obvious number 1 is how effective our run game was, and our run game has arrived, and I think it is here to stay. We showed clearly that we were able to dominate the game in the line of scrimmage. And before the game, a lot of people were wondering which game was the fluke, if the Utah game with 13 rush yards was the fluke, or if the McNeese game with 300 plus yards was the fluke. And I think against Tennessee, we showed that the Utah game was the imposter out of the 3. So very happy we were able to establish the run game. That's our identity. That's how we want to play. And with that, we were able to open up the playbook. In the first drive, we were able to feed the ball to Eugene Wilson. I think he caught the ball 5 times in just the first drive. It's a shame he got hurt. Hopefully he'll be back and come back stronger than ever. But we were able to stretch the field, passing. We did the short passes, and then running. We were able to open the lanes. And Etienne broke off on a huge run. But the main emphasis here is that we took control of the game and played the way we wanted to because of our offensive line and the control we had in the run game. So going into my next takeaway is that Mertz continues to impress. I may put this takeaway in every single one of my videos because I continue to be impressed. I'm very proud of Mertz. I was someone who did not like the move when he transferred to us. I thought there was much better quarterbacks out there, but Billy seemed to know what he was talking about. He seemed to have picked the right guy. And so far this year, Mertz's numbers, they've been good. They haven't been Heisman worthy. They haven't been like Trask in the past years that he was here, but we're not asking him to be Trask. We're not asking him to be Tebow. We're asking him to have control of the offense and make the easy passes and just have control of the team. So very proud that he has stepped into that leadership role and that he has commanded the offense the way he has. And his decision making is just very good. He hasn't been forcing balls that don't need to be thrown. He's making the right plays, passing to the open guy, running to the first down if he has to. So very proud of Mertz. I think he will continue to grow and continue to impress as the season goes along. And takeaway number 3 is our defense. Our defense is legit. Me personally, no, I'll go into the negative later. I'm going to start positive. So our defense has been phenomenal. Our defensive line has wreaked havoc in the run game. We are averaging, I think, 83 rushing yards a game. Like the opposing teams, that's what we're allowing. We're allowing 83 rush yards per game, and we're just able to put a halt on the run game, and that was Tennessee's whole identity. So once we did that, their whole game plan just wasn't what they wanted it to be. So very proud of the D-line and just our whole defense, our linebackers making tackles in space, our defensive backs, safeties, and cornerbacks, great plays, great pass deflections. We did give up a touchdown, well, 2 touchdowns, but minus that, we played a good game mostly. And the only thing, I was gonna start with, but I didn't want to start being negative, is that I do want more sacks. We've only had 3 sacks on the year. I would really like to boost those numbers up, maybe do more blitzes, but not too many blitzes. I don't want no Todd Grantham scheming, but just more blitzes. However, I think having only 3 or 4 makes our protection better, so I guess if we have to sacrifice sacks for better protection, I guess that's fine. But something else is I do want more turnovers. That interception filled my heart with joy. I loved it. It brought us into good field positioning. And yeah, that's about it. Besides that, our defense has been legit. Leaps and bounds way better than last year. So very proud of Austin Armstrong and the rest of the defensive staff for completely turning it around. And going into my 4th takeaway, it's a little more negative. So first, I'm going to start off with special teams. Maybe we have special teams figured out. Big maybe, because it solely depends on our kicker for the most part. He missed an extra point, a field goal and then an extra point that seemed to have been blocked, but I believe it was mainly his fault because after we took him out, our other kicker, Trey Smack, he was 3 for 3 on both field goals and extra points, so don't think the line was an issue there. And hopefully we keep Trey Smack in there because he seemed confident and was kicking the ball very well. Also, our punting, I'm not going to harp too much on it because Crawshaw, he's proven that he's a good punter, so I think he just needs to, get it together. I'm not too worried about that. I do want it to improve, but not too worried. And then the other part of this takeaway is something I didn't really like was that there's no need for a conservative half. Starting in the 3rd quarter, we just had a whole conservative game plan until the end of the game. I didn't like that. There's no need for that, especially against a rival like Tennessee. There's no need. You don't do that until there's a couple minutes left and you really have control of the game. But against a rival, no need to go conservative until maybe midway through the 4th quarter. So that's just my take on it. We did win, but hopefully the staff recognizes this and we don't do it. We don't do it anymore because it's not the way. Billy did say in his press conference that he realizes that maybe he was a little too conservative, so that gives me hope, but we'll see. And then my 5th and final takeaway, you're going to have to hear me out. I think there's a possible push for the SEC East. So, reason I say that, Georgia, they played their first test. I say test because it was South Carolina, and South Carolina has proven to not be the best team, and they were down 14-3 at the half. They did come back and win 24-14, but they never really pulled away. And I watched that whole game, and I wasn't super impressed. So we'll see whenever they start playing a little, just schools that are a little tougher because their schedule overall isn't tough. So we'll see once it starts happening. I think when they play Auburn, that'll really tell me about Georgia. But the contender in the SEC East behind them, we just beat. So who else is left in the East? Missouri, they look solid, but they've struggled early in the year against inferior opponents. So we'll see once they get into SEC play. Kentucky has looked average. They haven't looked the best, so we'll see about that. South Carolina, I just spoke on them, have looked okay. And then Vanderbilt, no comment on Vanderbilt. We better take care of business when Vanderbilt comes into town. We better get revenge. If not, I'll be very disappointed. But those are the contenders for the SEC East. So it's really Georgia right now. That's the biggest threat. The rest, with how we played against Tennessee, we should handle them and take care of business. But with that being said, those are my takeaways for this Florida-Tennessee game. And thank you guys for tuning in. I will be doing a takeaway for the Charlotte game. I know it's just Charlotte, but go Gators. I'm going to do one for every game. So thank you guys, and go Gators.